Okay, now we're going to do the vertex form of quadratic equation. This is different. Last year I gave you Algebra 1, you were given the vertex form and you had to graph it. We're going to do a little bit of that, but then you're going to have to convert into vertex form, which you have to complete the square to do. Okay, so a couple things you need to know. Vertex form is y equals, or f of x equals a x minus h squared plus k. Okay, couple things. First thing, a. This is, if a is negative, the graph opens down. So it looks like this, which means we have a maximum here. So that seems a little bit opposite of what we normally do, because it's negative. You're like, well, shouldn't it have a minimum? But that's not the case, okay? Because it opens down. If a is positive, the graph opens up. Which makes it have a minimum, okay? So that's where you got to be careful. So you have a smiley face, which makes this, the vertex, a minimum. Okay? That's what we need to know about A. H, I wrote this on here. H is the x value of the vertex. But you have to change the sign. Okay? So if it's a negative H, make it the answer positive. And it's because there is a negative in the original formula, which means opposite of H. And K is just the Y value of the vertex. All right, so if I give it to you in vertex form, you should be able to graph it pretty quickly. Because now you don't have to figure out the axis of symmetry, because I'm giving you the vertex. Okay, so let's do two examples if I give it to you straight out. So y equals 2 x plus 3 squared minus 4. Now the first thing is, I can see that my a is positive, so this is going to be a smiley face. I know that. My vertex is going to be the opposite of h. Well, h is 3, so the opposite of that is negative 3. And just the regular k, which is negative 4. That's my vertex. My axis of symmetry, you should remember, is the x value of the vertex, because it's the line that we draw down the middle of the parabola. So this is x equals negative 3. We know the direction of opening. We already talked about this. Because of the 2 in the front, this is an up opening. Now the y-intercept we won't know till we do, so let's do our table of values. Okay, x, y, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Still in the middle goes our vertex, negative 3, negative 4. So it's still the same rules once we know our vertex. Go up from there and down from there. Get out your calculator, look at the table, and fill in the rest of the values. Okay, now we can graph it. So we have negative 3, negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Hold on, let's see if I can fix this or I have to start over. Okay, now. Oh, that's weird. Okay, here we go. I don't know if I leaned on it weird. I don't know. But I'm not starting over. Negative 3, negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it's negative 4, negative 2, and negative 2, and then negative 1, 4. So this goes up pretty fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, and here. And then we can draw. Now, The y-intercept, you may have to look at the table on your graphing calculator. Remember, that's where x equals 0. In this case, the y-intercept is going to be at 0, 14. So that's pretty high up there. You're not going to see it on your graph. Now the solutions. I'm trying to think where I teach you how to use the graphing calculator for that. I will teach you how to use the graphing calculator to find the solutions. But I'm just going to give them to you now. You can estimate if you're not using your graphing calculator right away, but my solutions, remember, is where it crosses the x-axis. So this one is a little bit past -1. It's actually -1.6. And this one over here is a little bit past -4, and it's -4.4. So I'm going to show you in class how to use your graphing calculator to get those. Okay? Let's do one more of these, one that might confuse you a little bit, so let's do one more. All right, number 2, y equals x squared minus 2. You could argue that this is in standard form, or you could argue it's in vertex form. Well, because there's nothing in parentheses next to the x, the h is 0, and k is -2. The axis of symmetry, then, is just x equals 0. Now, direction of opening, we'll look in front of the x squared. What's in front of the x squared? It's a 1. So if there's a 1 in front of it, that's positive, so it's opening up. Okay? So let's do our table of values just like before. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0, -2, and then I count up from there and down from there. And I get my graphing calculator out, and I find my solutions. I find my y values, and then I'm just going to graph it. 0, -2. Oh, it's down here. This is terrible. My drawing is really bad. Let me try this to make it a little better. Okay. 0, -2 is here, and then here, and then here. So again, the y-intercept is where x is 0. Well, x is 0 at -2. And then my solutions here, again, I'm going to show you this in class, are -1.4 and +1.4. Okay? Now, here's the new step. You have to be able to convert. If I give it to you in standard form, you have to be able to convert it to vertex form. Okay? So let's look at how to do that. You're going to have to complete the square. So number 1, y equals x squared plus 6x minus 2. The difference here is we're not going to actually get an answer. We're just putting it in a different form. So I'm going to move this -2 over and get it out of the way. Okay? So I have y plus 2. I'm leaving room for my box, notice. Well, what goes in the box? Half b, square it, put it in the boxes. Half of b is 3, squared is 9. So 9 goes in the boxes. Okay? Now we simplify the one side. So this is y plus 11. And we factor the other side. But because this is a perfect square, this is a quick factor. It's just half the b. Okay? Now look, all we have to do is subtract 11 from both sides, and we're in vertex form. Y equals x plus 3 squared minus 11. So what can we say about this? We can say, without even doing anything, the vertex, now remember the vertex, the h is always the opposite. So -3, -11, there's my vertex. Axis of symmetry, that should be pretty easy. It's just the x value of the vertex. So x equals -3. And then you have to be able to tell me, does this open up or down? Well, let's look at our a. Well, our a is in front. It's a 1. So this is an opening up. So we have a minimum. Okay? Let's do another one. Y equals -3x squared. And I had a hard time with this one, so let's make sure I get this right. Plus 1. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. Nope. Before I do that, I notice that I don't have a 1 as my lead coefficient. So to make that a 1, I'm going to divide everything by -3. Everything gets divided by -3. So now I have y over -3 equals x squared plus 2x minus 1/3. Stick with me here. It's going to be okay. I'm going to add 1/3 to both sides to create room for my box. I'm not going to worry about the fraction right now. I'm just going to follow the steps. So y over -3 plus 1/3 plus a box equals x squared plus 2x plus a box. Okay, what goes in the box? Half b, square it, put it in the boxes. Well, half of b is 1. Square of 1 is 1. So 1 goes in the boxes. Okay? So then what do we have? We have y over -3 plus 4/3 equals parenthesis x plus 1 squared. This is where you want to stick with me. I'm going to clear the fraction now. So now I'm going to multiply everything. Well, I need y by itself, so I'm going to multiply everything by -3. Actually, let's do this first. You could do it either way. I'm just going to try to think what's the easiest. Before we clear the fraction, let's subtract 4/3 from both sides. So just subtract 4/3. Subtract 4/3. Okay, so now we have y divided by -3 equals x plus 1 squared minus 4/3. Now I need y by itself, so I'm going to multiply everything by -3, each term. So this gets multiplied by -3. This is one term, so that gets multiplied by -3. And this gets multiplied by -3. So what happens? I get y equals -3 x plus 1 squared plus, because a negative times a negative is positives, and this cancels out, plus a 4. Okay? So my answer is going to be, my vertex is going to be -1, positive 4. My axis of symmetry just x equals -1. And then my direction of opening, well, what's in front? -3. So that's going to be down, so we're going to have a maximum. Okay, let's do one more simple one. Okay, let's do number 3 as one more simple one. Y equals x squared minus 6x plus 11. Nothing to divide by, so I'm just going to subtract 11 from both sides. So y minus 11 equals, oh, I want to leave room for my box, equals x squared minus 6x, and then I'm going to add my box to both sides. What goes in the boxes? Half b, square it, put it in the boxes. Well, half of b is -3. Squaring -3 is positive 9. Everything that goes in the box is positive. So then on this side we have y minus 2 equals, this is a perfect square, so we just have to half the b to figure out what goes there. Half of -6 is -3. And we just add our 2 back to the other side. So y equals x minus 3 squared plus 2. Vertex then, remember, our h value we have to change the sign. So that's positive 3, positive 2. Axis of symmetry. It's just the x value of the vertex. So x equals 3. We look at what's in front of the parentheses for our a. In this case, the direction of the opening is up.
Moderate.
What? Okay, so this has a minimum, sorry. All right, so try some of those. The complicated one, I'm trying to see if there is one complicated one on the homework, so let's see if you can get it. We'll work through it if we need to. We probably will need to because it gets a little confusing. I agree.